All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, it's all about survival for leagues around college football. And look no further than what is going on right now between the Pac 12, the Mountain West, and the American Athletic Conference. So, if you're keeping score, Oregon State and Washington State are attempting to rebuild the Pac 12. And of course, they need to have at least 8 members by July of 2026. So we've seen Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State really like what Washington State and Oregon State are selling, which is why they've agreed to leave the Mountain West for the Pacific 12. The Pac 12 was also looking to expand east as they were attempting to get Memphis, UTSA, Tulane, and South Florida to all leave the American to partner up with them. It appeared to be a foregone conclusion that at least Memphis and Tulane were going to the Pac 12, but the finances of things have derailed those plans as Memphis and company will remain in the American. Now, you hear the reports the Pac 12 wasn't going to be able to pay the full share of the buyouts from the American. The American's athletic conference's buyouts, I think, are at about $25 million a year right now. And we saw the Pac-12 pay less to help get Boise and company to leave the Mountain West. But nonetheless, the Pac-12 also could not give Memphis, as well as the other schools from the American, a solid number in regards to how much television money they can get, because a lot of that from a TV deal comes down to who is going to be a part of that league, and then of course on top of that, what markets are going to be a part of that league as well. So nothing's set in stone for that right now. Um, but nonetheless, you look at what's going on, and these defections from the Mountain West to the Pac 12 has also sent the Mountain West in survival mode because after Boise, Fresno, San Diego State, and Colorado State gave their notice, it left the Mountain West at 8. And of course, you need at least 8 members. So the Mountain West is basically looking to use that buyout money that they got from the Pac 12 to kind of save their league, sweetening the pot for the likes of UNLV and Air Force. Of course, we've seen Air Force recently be courted by the American Athletic Conference. Okay. And of course, UNLV possibly being courted by the Pac 12. And it looked like the Mountain West was on stronger ground today after that news, along with the fact of Memphis and the other three American schools saying no right now to the Pac 12. But then you just hear more and more coming out. And I mean, you look at it, the news now about Utah State deciding to leave the Mountain West to join the Pac 12. And, because of Utah State leaving the Mountain West to go to the Pac 12, it's making UNLV think twice right here. And I mean, from a Pac 12 standpoint, clearly Oregon State and Washington State, they have that Pac 12 war chest at their disposal. They used some of it, and now they're using it strategically. Okay. They didn't want to overspend, if you will, to get the schools from the American, um, on board with that. So, Sports Report as ordered, established 2023. Love the handle, first and foremost. And you're saying, where do I think Texas State fits into this equation? That's going to be very interesting because I think what's going to happen right now, I think the Sun Belt might stay pat. Okay. Because I'm looking at this as far as the group of five leagues. I think a lot of it was going to be based on whether or not the American Athletic Conference had defections. That was going to be big right there. But Memphis and company deciding to do an about face, at least for right now, okay, changes things because I think what's happening with the Mountain West, uh, is one of those things. You know what? You shoot for the moon, and if not, you come back and you change your game plan. And I think first things first for the Pac-12, I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to go out there and get the best available targets. And I think from their standpoint, first and foremost, they went out there and cherry picked the top teams that they wanted from the Mountain West, and they figured, hey, you know what, we can go back and get more depending on how things work with this league. So they did that. They set their sights on the American. Clearly, that didn't work out. So now they're pivoting back west. So coming back to your question, I think Texas State is okay right now. I think they're gonna remain in the Sun Belt, and I think the Sun Belt is a strong league, in my opinion. And I say this because you look at how their coaches have been pegged to go take care or like run, programs of bigger schools. We just saw James Madison, and I talked about this over the weekend. I said, hey, you know what? The ACC might want to go out there and extend an invite to James Madison. We saw them go to Charlottesville last year, knock off Virginia, and then we saw them hang 70, an easy 70 on North Carolina this past weekend in Chapel Hill. So the Sun Belt is a strong league, and I think Texas State, they're going to be there for some time. I think it all comes down to that next domino of realignment, and I think right now, as of right now, the league that looks to be in the most trouble is the Mountain West because, of course, you need at least 8 to be recognized as a conference by the NCAA. They've now lost 5 schools to the Pac-12. And if they can't keep their other members happy, there's going to be more defections because the American has flirted with Air Force as far as putting Air Force in the same conference with both Army and Navy. Okay, to have all of the service academies there. You're looking at UNLV, and I think the fact that the Mountain West is under 7 right now, it might help to sway UNLV a little bit more. And then, if for whatever reason, if it does happen, if that league were to dissolve, if you're the Pac-12 and you're any other league around college football or college sports, you don't have to worry about exit fees anymore. So let's see what happens with that league. I think they're the one that is on the shakiest ground right now. And I think you just look at this whole thing, and I'll take away a WWE wrestling analogy right here, and I'll say it like this: hey, this is a triple threat match as far as I'm concerned. You got the Pac-12 and the title. You got the Pac-12 versus the American versus the Mountain West. All of them are fighting for survival at this point. I do believe Conference USA is okay. I do believe that the Sun Belt is okay. I do believe that the MAC is okay. But it's going to be these three, and unfortunately, it looks like somebody's going to get bumped off here. Maybe, just maybe, the Mountain West is able to save things and bring in a Sacramento State, bring in a North Dakota State. But is it going to be enough to keep everybody else happy? I don't think so at this point because the way it's looking, you've got Utah State on board. I think that UNLV is not going to be that far behind as far as going to the new Pac-12. We've also heard rumors, okay, and where there's smoke, there's fire, as far as the Pac-12 looking to add Gonzaga and St. Mary's for basketball, clearly, which would strengthen the Pac-12's basketball league because you would then put San Diego State in the same league with a Gonzaga and a St. Mary's. So I'm looking at it like this. This is going to get very interesting, like I said. Last year, many people expected Oregon State and Washington State to fold after it looked like the Pac 12 was going to dissolve. They didn't, they held their ground. And after the Pac 12 got Boise, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Colorado State to join, there were those who expected the Mountain West to fold, and they're fighting, they're scrapping and clawing, okay? And then you can see that the American has taken the kid gloves off as well. So you look at Teresa Gold, who is the commissioner of the Pac-12. She's been very aggressive, okay, in attempting to keep this league afloat. And I think tonight's news about Utah State leaving the Mountain West for the Pac-12 is big, okay, because I think just when it looked like the Mountain West was getting that momentum again, they could once again be teetering in front of our very eyes. All right, so they've been aggressive, and I think they're going to be continue to be aggressive as far as the Pac-12, as far as rebuilding their league. Again, like I said, what's going to be the next domino to fall? I think at this point, it's going to be UNLV, and I think what could possibly happen is that once this new Pac-12, if you will, once they get their TV deal, it's going to trigger things because you're going to have maybe not right now, but maybe someplace down the road, they do try to revisit, bringing in a Memphis from the American Athletic Conference because it's one of those things where a commitment from a school is a commitment from a school today, unless you have it in writing. Okay. And unless they agree to a grant of rights, unless they agree to a television deal, anything can happen. And of course, once those TV deals are up, you know what? It's all systems go. So Memphis and others, they agreed to come back to the American Athletic Conference for today, but that doesn't mean that they might be happy there 5 years from now. We got to wait and see. Uh, will Memphis regret not going to the Pac-12? I'll tell you like this: the only way that you were going to get Memphis, and I really thought it was a foregone conclusion at least last week. The only way you make it work is you have to bring other schools from that region in, and I think the Pac-12 was trying to bring in four. It's just a fact of the buyout money just simply wasn't there. And of course, the financial commitment from a television deal was not there yet. But I think with Teresa Gold and company, what they are attempting to do is simply if you build it, they will come. And I think as they add more teams, I think the intrigue for this league is going up. Like I said, if you're the Mountain West, I think you are in full scramble position right now. Um, I think everything's on the table. Maybe we might see this league dissolve altogether. We don't know. Maybe they find a way to keep it afloat, bringing in maybe a Sacramento State, bringing in a North Dakota State. We got to wait and see. But at the end of the day, this is the name of the game. It's all about survival, and not only the survival, it's all about which league is going to give you the sweetest financial deal. So, I talked in depth with Mark Jenkins about this last week when we talked about Pac-12 expansion on this same platform. I mentioned, possibly, having, a Turner, come into the mix if you're the Pac-12 as far as, marketing your product on their networks. Washington State and Oregon State are already working with the CW. These are just options out there. Okay. And like I said, Turner's got money to spend, and it's all about getting that TV money. So conference commissioners more than ever, they have to be strong as far as going out there and getting the best possible deal to keep their members happy and keep this thing afloat. So I want to see what's going to be next for Gloria Nevarez in the Mountain West. The American is fighting, the Pac-12 is fighting. I think this is going to be a fight to the finish. I think it's going to be a battle for survival. But right now, just when it looked like the Mountain West was jumping ahead of the Pac-12, this news about Utah State tonight is going to be huge. I think with Utah State going, I think they bring UNLV to the new Pac-12 and maybe somebody else. Will the Pac-12 get Gonzaga and St. Mary's for basketball? That's another question as well. But nonetheless, it is the issue that never stops. And that plain and simply is realignment in college football, as it's all about survival. But folks, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. Sports Report, I definitely appreciate your question. Um, I'm curious to know if you're a Texas State backer. Please feel free to drop it in the comments. If not, come back after this live and drop some comments about it. And I definitely want to hear more about what you have to say about those Bobcats. But once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.